Okay, all right. You've landed on Island 49. I am your host, Weston Smith. This evening, we're going to talk about the 49ers Week 5 matchup against the Dallas Cowboys. 49ers 4 and 0, Dallas Cowboys 3 and 1. Arguably the best game on the calendar this weekend in Week 5, slated for Sunday night football. Mike Tirico, Chris Collinsworth. That's the stage is set, and we have all day tomorrow to look forward to until that game kicks off. So it'll be a long day. So as we've done week in, week out, what are we looking forward to? What do we expect from this game? How's it going to play out? You know, fans of this team, the 49ers, who've been fans as long as I have been a fan, 35 years at this point, this is the biggest rivalry for the San Francisco 49ers. This brings me back to my childhood, to the late 80s, early 90s, more the early 90s when the Cowboys finally started to hit their stride and the changing of the guard under Jimmy Johnson, Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, that vaunted offensive line, that Studley defense that they had to kind of take over the reins from that surging late 80s San Francisco 49ers team before we brought it back for a single year in the 94 95 season. So I'm anxious. I'm nervous. I am all of those things. Nobody wants to beat the Dallas Cowboys more than I do. And I know that the last two times we played the Cowboys, both in the postseason, we've sent them home packing. This is different, right? This is not a win and go home. This is early in the season. It's at Levi under the lights on Sunday Night Football, but nonetheless a prominent opponent and certainly the most stiff competition that they have faced to this point in the year. I would argue that neither the Cowboys or the 49ers have had a rather difficult game in the sense of like competition on paper. I know they lost to the Cardinals. We beat the Cardinals, but you can throw all of that out the window. Like literally none of that matters when we're talking about this game. So what does matter? What matters is I assure you both of these teams are going to be up to the challenge. They are fired up, ready to go for this game. You've seen it in the media all week. You've heard it from the fan bases all week, right? The disrespect, the back and forth, who have you played, what have you accomplished, yada yada yada. All of that's just a lot of noise for what's about to take place tomorrow evening. I don't know, 22 hours from now from this recording. So we are live. Just a reminder, hit the like, hit the subscribe, leave your comments, throw them in the chat. Got to do it through YouTube. We're Talking Football is the YouTube page. Come join me. It is Vino night here, and we're going to review this game like we always do. So let's talk a little bit about it. What to expect from this matchup. You know, both offenses looking pretty good. Both defenses looking pretty good. So let's start from the offensive side of the ball. Right now, 49ers are essentially number 2 in total offense, right? They're averaging 398 yards per game. You got the Dallas Cowboys averaging 360 yards per game. 49ers averaging 245 through the air. You got the Dallas Cowboys averaging basically like 219, 220 through the air per game. When it comes to the rushing game, you have the 49ers averaging 153 yards on the ground. Dallas Cowboys averaging 141 yards on the ground per game. So they stack up pretty well. When you look at points per game, 49ers are third in the league. They're 31.3. Dallas Cowboys 4 in the league, 31 even in terms of points per game. So the offenses, they're clicking, they're moving. I think what's a little different coming into this matchup is that the 49ers are actually averaging more yards through the air than the Dallas Cowboys, which is not always the case. But what you just heard me break down in terms of like total offense, points per game, and more importantly, rushing yards per game, this all kind of points back to both teams want to run the football. So what does this look like defensively? Well, defensively, the 49ers are giving up, I don't even know, I think they're 5th in the league at 284 yards per game. Obviously, the Dallas Cowboys are right up there. They're number 2 overall in the league, giving up 259.8 yards per game. When you think of the passing game, 49ers are giving up 218 yards per game. Dallas Cowboys giving up 148. In the rushing game, 49ers are third in the league, giving up 66 yards per game. Dallas Cowboys are a little bit further down. They're giving up almost 112 yards rushing per game. And then what it really boils down to is the points per game that this defense is giving up, defensive scoring, if you will. Dallas Cowboys, number 1 in the NFL, 10.3 points per game. San Francisco 49ers, number 3 in the NFL, 14.5 per game. A lot of that Dallas, that 10.3 points per game, that really kind of boils back to that opening week shutout against the G-Men and what they were able to do. So there, if y'all been listening to me long enough, you know I'm not a metrics guy. I put all the metrics out in front of you. I put all the team statistics out for you. Now, what does this boil down to? Well, clearly and most obviously, the difference in this game is going to be the fact that the 49ers traded away Trey Lance to the Dallas Cowboys, and Trey Lance is going to unveil all of his secrets of this offense to the Dallas Cowboys and their Dan Quinn and the defense coordinator and everything that they're about to embark upon. I'm being as facetious as you could possibly imagine in that comment. I really think this has very little to do with the outcome of this game. I mean, if we want to go the extra mile here, let's talk about the signing of Anthony Brown, former corner for the Dallas Cowboys, who spent more time in Dallas than Trey Lance spent in San Francisco. 49ers just traded for Randy Gregory. I know he won't play this week, but are they picking his brain about his time with the Dallas Cowboys, etc.? Again, none of that means anything. This is all going to come down to the play on the field. And there it is, our first question of this evening. Keep bringing them. Do you think the Cowboys will upset the 49ers? I'm going to answer that question in a little while. I'm not going to answer it right now. I'll bring it back up when the time is appropriate. So let's talk a little bit about X's and O's and expectations related to this game. Now, I mentioned what this game means to me. Survey my wife, survey my friends, survey anybody that knows me. They'll tell you I am nervous all week before the Dallas game. I want to beat this team so bad because I know the pain that they caused me and the heartache they caused the younger version of myself in the early 90s when they were an absolute powerhouse. I think the overall slate is evenly split, right? I think it's 19-19 and 1. So the winner of this game, unless it's a tie some way, somehow, is going to take the lead in the overall series between these two games. And of course, we all hope that's the San Francisco 49ers. So I think each team has their work cut out for them. But if you're asking me, this game boils down to a very simple fact around football. Who's going to run the ball more effectively? Who is going to keep the other team's defense on the field longer and control the time of possession and keep the other team's offense off the field? Both of these teams' offenses are more than capable of going down the field and scoring points. Both of these teams' defense are more than capable of changing the game just like that with a big play. So, with all the flashiness and all the playmakers around, who is going to control the line of scrimmage and the time of possession? We've heard a lot about how the Cowboys have not been able to literally line up the same offensive line combination since like preseason, right? And everything that they've invested into it. Tomorrow night, they'll probably get a little bit closer to that. But is that going to be effective? Is Tyron Smith really healthy? Is he in game shape? Have these guys seen enough reps? I don't know. The 49ers are going to try out the same starting offensive line that they've had all season. So who is going to control the line of scrimmage, the running game, i.e. time of possession? That is who is going to win this football game. And both teams are plenty capable of doing this. If you're asking me what I think the 49ers might do a little bit different, so we know Elijah Mitchell's out, right? So we know he's not going to play this week. So that's going to be a backfield of TDP, Jordan Mason, and obviously Christian McCaffrey, who's all world beater this year. But is it another game of 30 touches for Christian McCaffrey? Do we want that this early in the season? I think you're going to see Deebo Samuel touch the ball a little bit more out of the backfield, whether that's in those quick bubble screens, motion him into the backfield and, have him as a check down, or just straight up handing him the ball. He's done well against Dallas with this in the past. You saw a very conservative approach in utilizing Deebo last week. In their game against the Arizona Cardinals. I think he had like 3 overall touches and they were all carries, right? In the game. Interesting. Very interested to see how this is going to pan out and play out. Good news for our comment here. Aikman has nothing to do with this football game. He's Monday night and he is not Sunday night. We don't have to listen to him and Joe Buck hate on the 49ers and praise the Cowboys. So we'll take that. But it's like literally just a step below because we're going to have to listen to Chris Collinsworth basically be on his knees all evening talking about Dak Prescott and etc. Who's a hell of a football player. Dallas Cowboys have a hell of a football team. But what we have seen over the past 2 seasons in the playoffs is we've ended that season early. So are we like the boogaboo, right? Are we like the boogeyman at this point for the Cowboys? I don't know. I think they're ready to go. I think they're going to be ready to go for this game. But if I know anything, I know the 49ers are going to be ready for this game. I think there's 2 things that need to happen. These are going to be really obvious comments, so I apologize. The 49ers are going to have to run for $1.50 to win this game, and they're going to have to dominate on the defensive along the defensive front. Bosa's going to have to eat. Armstead's going to have to eat. All these guys need to get pressure. They need to get in Dak's face, and they need to create errors, right? Like I'm not going to say they need to turn the ball over, but they need to create errant throws, get the Cowboys off their rhythm offensively. Because here's the truth that I don't think enough people are talking about. When you think about turnovers for the year, Dallas Cowboys lead the NFL in turnover differential. They are +9. Again, and I don't care who the opponent is. They're protecting the football, right? They have picked off the opposing passer 7 times. They have forced and recovered 3 fumbles for 10 total turnovers created. And they've given the ball back once. And it was Dak Prescott against those aforementioned Arizona Cardinals as they were going into the end zone. 49ers, on the other hand, are +4 in the turnover differential. They have yet to force and recover a fumble. They have picked off opposing passers 5 times, and we have lost 1 fumble, i.e. the differential of 4 versus the 5 that we've created. So this is a very opportunistic defense that we are going against. Yes, I know Diggs is not going to be playing in this game, and it's going to be Gilmore and some other bodies, but number 11 for the Cowboys, Micah Parsons. I mean, the dude is just an ultimate difference maker. Where's he going to be? Where's he going to line up? You have to have eyes on number 11 all the time. And I know people are going to say that, well, we beat up on number 11 and we took him out of the game. Yeah, we took him out of the game in the 2021 playoff game. 2022, he was a little bit more of a factor. He's another year in the league. He's having a hell of a year so far. He is going to be a difference maker on that defense. I know been reading a lot online this week about how big week from Kittle. I don't think you see George Kittle at all, right? I think George Kittle is going to be basically the spy related to where number 11 is. And he's going to be that additional down lineman for whatever side of the football that Micah Parsons happens to line up on. He's going to have to be an equalizer. Yeah, he's going to have to make a play or 2. And they're going to have to gamble and, get him stretched out from the line and put him in the slot and get him out of the box and hope that, he gets a little one-on-one against some of those safeties or even those linebackers. But George Kittle, number 85, is going to spend a lot of time in the box. It's just what it is, right? We're still not 100% sold on this 49ers offensive line at this point in time, right? So that's why you haven't seen this big start to the year for Kittle. And we've seen this time and time again. It's like he is that ultimate 6th offensive lineman. He blocks better than most tackles do in this league, and you can put them all over the formation and create different matchups. I think I mentioned earlier about Debo, right? Getting a lot more in the run game this week. Ayuk's going to do what he does. He's going to he's going to catch 5 to 6 balls. It's going to be what's going to be. I don't think there's a defensive back in the league right now that can stick with him. His separation is uncanny. His route running is unbelievable, and he's just playing lights out. It's just a matter of like slowing him down and containing him versus letting him kill you. So obviously there's going to be a focal point on Christian McCaffrey. I've argued he's the league MVP to this point. Let's just say we know that's a quarterback award, so let's just call him he's the league's offensive player of the year through 4 weeks of the football season. So obviously you're going to try to take 23 away. You think they're going to take away Debo because Debo's been a beater on them over the last 2 years. 49ers have an embarrassment of riches. Where I'm going with this, I told you Kittle probably won't be actively involved in this game, right? I know we get Jawan Jennings back. Expect to see a little Ronnie Bell in the mix. But this to me feels like a sneaky opportunity for Juice, number 44, Kyle Juszczyk, to be able to find some opportunities. Look, he's not, I don't know if he's going to score a touchdown or if he's going to do anything like that, but we talked about controlling the tempo of this game, controlling the ball, controlling the time of possession, etc. I think there's going to be a couple third down opportunities for number 44. That might be the difference, right? That's why I love the NFL, man. It's scheme versus scheme. Styles make fights. You can only account for so many players. I'm just so excited. I can't wait to get to this game. Again, another question. Do we think CMC will continue to run over his opponent? That's going to be a tougher task this weekend. Tomorrow night. I'm just telling you like that. I think the 49ers are going to do everything in their power to ensure he gets as many touches as possible to continue to compile the statistics that he has and have the effect on a game that he has had through the first 4 weeks. This is just going to be tougher sledding than it's been in the past, but they are going to make a very conscious effort. And Juice. I hope, like I said, it's not going to be splashy. It's not going to be sexy, but it could be the difference in the game if it's a 3rd and 3, a 3rd and 4, and all eyes are going to be on 19 and 23 and 85 and 11, and there's 44 just sneaking out into the flat and letting Brock do his thing. Speaking of Brock, he's going to have to be poised. This is the biggest game he's played in since the NFC Championship game, and we know how that's gone. We're looking at whatever it is, 14 straight, regular season wins for the San Francisco 49ers. He certainly wants to keep that going under the lights at home against a longtime rival like the Dallas Cowboys. This game's going to tell me a lot about number 13, how he plays. Is he playing poised? 49ers happen to go down by a score. What's the instant reaction? Is he remain as cool and as comfortable as he has since his time of taking over this offense? I think he will. There's nothing to show me. There's no evidence to show to me that he hasn't or he's not capable of doing that. So we'll see. I'm genuinely excited for tomorrow's matchup. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I will be anxious all day long, starting with the 9:30 a.m. kickoff time here on the East Coast with the London game with the Jags and the Bills, all the way through the 1 o'clock slate, the 4 o'clock slate. Thank God for fantasy football. That'll keep me occupied for at least 7 hours of commercial-free football with Mr. Scott Hansen on the Red Zone. Shout out, Scott. That being said, that's going to all lead us up into the anxiety that is the Sunday night football game. I've been waiting all day for Sunday night. Can't wait to hear that song ring out because it'll be so true. But there was a question asked of me earlier. Do I think the Cowboys will upset the San Francisco 49ers? No, I do not. Point blank, I do believe the 49ers will win this football game. I think it will be stiff and tough competition. Both teams are going to have to execute damn near flawlessly. And I think it's going to come down to the team that makes the one mistake. The one mistake. And that's why I said it's so pertinent that the defensive line feasts this game. Look, they're going to give up yards. It's going to be what it's going to be. It's going to be a bend, but don't break scenario. Can you contain CD? Do you keep Pollard in check? I think my bigger concern is around Dak. And that concern is another look. We just don't fare well for whatever reason against quarterbacks who have the ability for when the pocket breaks down to get outside or to step up and pick up 6 to 10 yards with their legs. You know, when it's 3rd and 8 and nobody's open downfield, but they can still get the first down and then get back into the playbook. Those things break teams. Those breaks teams. I thought Daniel Jones was going to do that to us on that Thursday night game against the Giants. I'm floored that they didn't even bother trying to run the ball with Daniel Jones. Like no design QB runs, etc. Like what? Have you not been watching tape on this defense? You know, and I think the Cowboys have enough tape to know that, hey, Dak, like read 1 and 2 aren't there, and it's 3rd and 7 plus. Like just go. Just go. Are they going to be prepared? You know, this is a heavyweight matchup in the NFC that has a ton of implications related to playoff seeding. And I know we're putting the cart well before the horse, right? We're talking about going into week 5. Anything can happen over the next 12 or 13 weeks of the NFL season to upset the apple cart, if you will. But by all accounts, coming into the season and so far through the season, it's a 3-dog race to the number 1 seed. It's the San Francisco 49ers, it's the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's the Dallas Cowboys. This has huge implications related to that. I was thinking about this earlier as to like, okay, when I say this game comes down to the run game, which to me is just a battle of will and a battle of desire when you win in the trenches, who needs this game more? Do the San Francisco 49ers or the Dallas Cowboys need this game more? I would argue that they both need it, right? Like they both need it to squash some of the criticism of like, yeah, you're 4-0, yeah, you're 3-1, but you haven't played anybody yet this season. Listen, you can only play who's on your schedule. Do what you're supposed to do to those teams. If they're bad teams, mop them up. And for all intents and purposes, that's what's been done. But who needs this game more? And I'm a little hesitant to say this, but I think it's true. The Dallas Cowboys need this game more than the San Francisco 49ers. I think looking at the division that the Cowboys play in right now, and that's not a knock on the NFC West, right? But for, by all measures, it's the 49ers and the Seahawks, right? Right now, Washington, I know we just saw a blunder on Thursday night, but I don't count Thursday night football games for anything because anything can happen in those games. But stiff competition in the NFC East. And the team that represented the NFC in the Super Bowl last year happens to be in your division of the Dallas Cowboys. Let's say you lose this game, and let's say the Eagles win this weekend. It's a 2-game differential. It's tough sledding to make up throughout the season in the NFL, especially with a team like the Eagles. 49ers, they lose this game. They're dead even with the Seattle Seahawks. Probably even, I think they'd be first because the Seahawks lost to the Rams. 49ers beat the Rams, right? That'd be the differential at this point in the season, division record. So I tells you a lot, right? Like how bad this game is needed. And that's what makes this different, right? Like if it's a playoff game, it doesn't matter who needs the game. You all need the game. You got to win. It's a win or go home in the NFL playoffs. But week 5 just adds a little bit of a different wrinkle to this game. If I had to put a score prediction to wrap us up here, I would say, God, I said this last week against the Cardinals, so I'll change up the score. I'll say 27-20, San Francisco 49ers win it by a touchdown, a full possession. That's my prediction. 27-20. You can hold me to it, but I think the Niners are the better football team right now, and that's not a homer pick. I think this is going to be the toughest game they played so far. I think the Cowboys are well equipped to beat the San Francisco 49ers. I just think that this offense is I don't even want to call it humming yet, right? But they're still putting up 30 plus points a game and still figuring some things out. And I would argue that the defense is still trying to figure some things out under new tutelage with Steve Wilkes. So scary proposition as both sides of the ball continue to pick up steam. So that's me. I'm saying the 49ers. Look, again, this game's going to come back down to who controls the line of scrimmage, who's able to run the ball, and who controls the clock. That's it. It's not crazy. I don't think you're going to see a lot of big splash plays in the passing game. I think you're going to see teams methodically move the chains. It's going to come down to the run game, but we'll see. It's going to be on national television tomorrow night. I cannot wait. You heard it here. I got the Niners 27. I got the Cowboys 20. 49ers walking into week 6. Hopefully a nice victory Monday as they walk out 5-0. I'm Weston Smith. This is Island 49. Please don't forget to hit the like, hit the subscribe. We'll be back next week like we always are. Stay tuned on Monday night as I link up with Steph and we start to give our 49K player of the week and talk a little bit about the game. Hopefully we go in with some praising to do and not distraught after a loss, but feeling pretty confident 49ers are going to win this game. But I appreciate y'all tuning in like you always do. See you next week.